All right. So if you could, Michael, just introduce yourself to our Sierra Club members briefly in terms of your own personal experiences and your role there.
Okay. Bonjour, everyone. Michael Price, Waasegiizhig Indigenous Cause, Makwa Nindo Dem. GLIFWC Deg Nindanoki Omanungum Midash Wikwemikong Debendaguzian. Niminwen de Mejayan Omanungum. Aho. So it's always a tradition for us to introduce ourselves in our ancestral language, the Anishinaabe language. My name is Michael Price, Waasegiizhig. I am Bear Clan. I am Anishinaabe, and I work at an organization called the Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission. My family is from Wikwemikong First Nations, Manitoulin Island in Ontario, and so yeah, it's a pleasure to be here today with you.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Of course, we're celebrating Wolf Awareness Week, and so many of our members understand that there is a connection between the Anishinaabe people and wolves. But I think what we'd like to do is just hear from your perspective, just a little bit of connecting the dots for us.
Okay. Well, I work for an organization called the Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission, and for that organization, I serve as the traditional ecological knowledge specialist. So what I do is that I incorporate the Ojibwe language, the culture, and the traditions into the work of studying and managing fish, wildlife, natural resources. So it's part of my job to go out and find and learn the stories about Maingan, the wolf, and bring them to GLIFWC. And we incorporate that into our management practices and into the things that we do in the job of serving the 11 federally recognized tribes that we work for. And it is a tradition among Anishinaabe people that we believe that we are closely related to the wolf. It goes all the way back to our creation story about who we were or who we are. And in our story, it talked about how the first man, some people call him Anishinaabe, some people call him Nanabojo. When Nanabojo was first placed on the earth, the Great Spirit, Gijimanadu, instructed him to walk all over the landscape and name the plants and the trees and the valleys and the rivers. And as Nanabojo began to walk the earth, soon he became lonely, and he asked the Great Spirit to send him a companion. And the Great Spirit sent him Maingan, the wolf. And together, Maingan and Nanabojo walked the earth together, and they learned all about the trees and the plants and the medicines, until finally, when that journey was over, when they reached the end of their journey, the Great Spirit said, "Your journey is complete, and now you will walk separate paths, but always remember that you are related to one another." And so we did. The Anishinaabe people, we took our own path, our own journey. Maingan took their path, and we always remember that we're closely related. So today in 2023, when we declare that Maingan is our relative, you know, words mean everything. And when you use the word relative instead of resource, or instead of species, or critters, you know, when you use the word relative, you really change your perspective and the way that you relate. So when we say that the wolf is our relative, we protect the wolf just like we would protect one of our relatives here in our family. Yeah. And that's part of our job at GLIFWC, is to protect the wolf as part of family.
Yeah, words matter, and that's that. It's a mindset, and I appreciate that beautiful story of understanding the interconnectedness there. When it comes to, you know, you mentioned the traditional ecological knowledge, and that's something that, you know, I think a lot of people are interested in and just starting to understand a little bit better. Is there anything that you have found in your experiences that could leverage better coexistence with Maingan today as we struggle to, you know, make sure that we can all work and coexist together on this landscape?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I think about the weaving together of traditional science and traditional ecological knowledge, I remember the words of an author, a native author, a long time ago. His name was Vine Deloria Jr., that once said that science teaches us how things work and what things are made of, but it doesn't teach us how to relate or how to incorporate that thing into our lives. And I believe that TEK, the indigenous knowledge of indigenous peoples, I believe bring in those lessons and those stories about how to relate to our environment, how to live more sustainably. Because right now we don't really have values or ethics. I think in science we have laws, but we don't have values or ethics. Therefore, you know, in a capitalistic society, it's whatever makes money, go for it. And that, I think, that's costed us as a society and as a civilization. I believe that indigenous knowledge can teach us how to connect with those natural phenomena and those natural entities in the forests and in the rivers and in the waters, so that we can live more sustainably. But again, like I said at the beginning, it all starts with the words that we use. When we talk about relatives or we talk about kinship. Um, and one other thing I'll add to that, that difference between Western science and indigenous knowledge is that in our language, our Anishinaabe language, we don't have a word for nature, and we don't have a word for wilderness either. We've never seen ourselves separate from, when people use the word nature, they're talking about like nature, oh, out there somewhere. I like to go out and walk in nature. We don't see ourselves separate from nature. And so therefore we don't have a word for it. And I've reflected a lot on that over the years. And how does that change my worldview? Because I didn't grow up knowing my language when I was young. I didn't know anything about my traditions or my culture. I didn't learn that until my adult years, you know.
Okay.
And I really had to like kind of rethink my worldviews.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
it's been a good journey so far.
it's a different lens to look through, I'm sure. And I think you touched on the interconnectedness of things, and I think that's so important to consider when we think about Mayingan and all of the things that they can affect in a positive way on the landscape. And I do appreciate you highlighting that, because that's super important. It isn't just that they are a static one type of label. It really is that they have this interconnectedness that is really valuable. So I love that. So thank you. And I'm just curious in terms of the turmoil with Mayingan in the past few years. Has that changed your perspective, or has it um, changed your views on Mayingan in our world today and in the future?
Yes, very much so. And I can tell you a quick story that happened in 2021. It was after the wolf hunt had happened, where 86% more wolves were killed than what was supposed to have happened. And it was an atrocity across all the Ojibwe communities. Uh, but it was several months later that the DNR contacted us, and they said that they had 21 wolf carcasses frozen, and they asked us if we wanted them. And we had a very quick meeting. It was we decided, yes, we want to take those carcasses, and the scientists were going to take samples from those carcasses, and then we were going to take care of those wolves in a ceremonial way. And we went up, and they were buried on the Bad River Reservation, uh, totally disclosed. But we also had a healing circle after that. A lot of the employees got together, and we had a healing circle ceremony where we talked about our connection and our grief over this wolf hunt. For a lot of Anishinaabe people and non-native people too, it was a travesty. It was a violation of something, but nobody could quite put their finger on it. And that's something we had to have the healing ceremony. And it was all over these wolves. And so we got to take care of these wolf carcasses in a spiritual ceremonial way. And that helped with the healing process. But a lot of us were angry and bitter and hurt over that wolf hunt. And we could still feel the repercussions of that today.
Understandable. It was a very difficult time, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. That I didn't know that's really a beautiful thing, that the community could come together and try to heal that way and try to find a path forward after that. Well, with that, I will just say thank you for caring and sharing what you have today with us. We have 18,000 members across the state of Wisconsin who are very vested in understanding more and learning and continuing this conversation with you, Michael, and GLIFWC and the broader Anishinaabe people here. So thank you so much for your time, and we do appreciate it, and we hope that we can stay in touch. So thank you very much.
Okay, Amy. Miigwech.
Thank
Business.
you.